Here where workers who are white, heterosexual, or a member of another majority group don't need to provide extra evidence to prove workplace discrimination. That's a Supreme Court ruling coming out today. Our chief legal correspondent, Katie Barlow, here to break this all down. A rare sight here where we see a unanimous court siding here with the plaintiff.
You say it's rare, and sometimes that is true, although this morning we got 6 opinions from the Supreme Court, Marina, and 4 of them were unanimous, and the other 2, the court all agreed on the bottom line.
Just corrected.
Exactly how to get there. But this was actually a rare morning where we got so many unanimous decisions. But yes, this case is about a woman named Marlene Ames, who worked for the Ohio Department of Youth Services for 15 years. She's a straight woman, and she applied for a promotion. And when she applied for the promotion, she didn't get it, and they gave it to a woman who was a lesbian. Then she got demoted and a pay cut, and they put someone who was a gay man in the position that she was originally in. So she sued, alleging that she was discriminated against in violation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act bars discrimination in employment on the basis of race, religion, sexuality, national origin, and all parts of employment. That's hiring and firing, promotions, all different facets of it. And so the courts, before it got up to the Supreme Court, told her she didn't have a claim because she wasn't able to prove basically a higher evidentiary standard. She had to jump through an extra hoop because she was straight, and she was alleging that they were discriminating against her because she was straight, that she wasn't able to clear that extra burden. It's called the background circumstances test. And she had to prove that it was a rare situation where an employer was discriminating against someone in the majority. So she had to clear that extra hoop. Today, the Supreme Court unanimously said that's not cool with Title VII. Discrimination is discrimination. You don't have to prove something extra just because you're in the majority group. So now she gets to go back down and move forward with her claim, and they'll apply the standard that the court set out today. But the court was very clear in its decision, unanimously, saying that Title VII doesn't discriminate against the majority or the minority group, and you don't have to work harder to prove your claim just because you are straight, for example, or white, for example.
Yeah, it was interesting, especially reading some of what Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson wrote, right, being the first female black justice on the Supreme Court to come on and say, well, you don't, to your point, have to be non-majority to feel as though you're discriminated against. I think what's interesting here is that the court did not rule in favor or against this woman, or didn't really resolve any of her issue. Just to your point, said go back to the lower court because they must see that you too can be discriminated against, but we're not saying you were.
Yeah, that's actually a constitutional constraint on them. They are not allowed to issue what's called an advisory opinion. They can't just reach beyond a question that's before them and decide, hey, we want to answer this question too. They can only, all of our courts, all of our federal courts can only decide the cases before them, the controversies before them. And there has to be, as we've talked about before in many cases, a demonstrable show of harm. And so the question in this case was what standard applies under Title VII, not ultimately whether she will win. The court can't reach that because that question's not before them.
Okay, very interesting, and we'll see what the lower court says, too, as it relates to this case in regards to all of this. Thanks for bringing that down, Katie, as usual. And again, you can see a full breakdown of today's Supreme Court rulings. As Katie said, 4 of them unanimous, so I stand corrected on that one. And all of this week's major legal stories with Katie this Sunday night at 11:30 on In the Courts. In the meantime,